Hello and welcome to the recording of our workshop that we held on Tuesday, the 8th of March. This is a new program that we're bringing out to help people who are getting treatment for cancer and maybe even people with diabetes and other chronic illnesses and disease, and pretty much people who have lost a lot of muscle mass. As you'll see, there's a lot of common factors with a lot of these ailments and problems that we see today. So we've partnered up with an oncologist who's very well respected in the community, and this is a program very unique to people needing that extra bit of support and for the treatment to have a better outcome. Exercise is a crucial element of it. All right, so I'll get into what we covered. So basically I'm covering in this video a holistic approach versus an allopathic approach, which very much in the Western medicine side of things is, and the way we've sort of been accustomed to doing things is treating symptoms, which is what the allopathic approach is. Holistic approach is using, like in the case of the cancer, getting your treatment with medications and chemotherapy if that's a part of it, and all the other things that the medicine approach is using, but also attacking it from a lifestyle side of things with nutrition, getting better rest and recovery strategies, using exercise. Hence its name, holistic, is sort of trying to cover a lot of things. We're going to look at why most exercise programs fail when it comes to treating this condition. We're going to look at what specifically, which is the best exercise for cutting your cancer risk by as much as 40%. We're going to look at it, is it safe to be exercising when getting treatment? Then we're going to look at the dangers of things like sarcopenia and bone density loss, and the reasons why we age, what we call active aging, what is a functional movement, and how our actual program works, and when it runs, how much it is, all that sort of stuff. All right, so firstly, who am I? If you go to our website, www.noregretspt.com.au, you'll find a lot of stuff about the things that we cover and why we specialise so much in rehabilitation, core strength, things like that, and more recently chronic disease and ill health. These are things that we've sort of evolved into, having worked with a lot of these type of clients over the past, especially in the last 2 years, year and a half. So we've worked with all people from elite athletes, and we have some of them still on our training with us currently, stroke victims, cerebral palsy people even, and a lot of older adults, and we run specific older adults classes. We've won several awards for business in over the years, so we really have been around for a while, for quite a long time, and our testimonial page is proof of the results that we provide with these, especially these tricky cases where people are lost. They're not sure what to do. They know they need to do something. They don't know what it is though, and they've had a bad experience. They're scared. They're feared. They've got all these things. That's where we come in. That's what we're good at. That's what we can help you with. So Melissa and myself, we're the business owners, and and with the team of trainers we have around us, we've got a really good team of different qualities. So Melissa herself's qualified in massage and nutrition, as well as a lifestyle coach, and so am I. We've got a qualified chef on our team who has his own restaurant, and so we can provide meals for people as well, and cooking classes. We have 2 exercise physiologists who specialise in this sort of stuff, and they definitely will be a big part of running this program. Our business itself is a Lift for Life licensed provider, which Lift for Life is a government initiative from a few years back to try and tackle these problems in the community. Other qualifications, I won't bore you with them all. Level 2 trainer and rehabilitation, Pilates, Tai Chi, accredited in both of those, sports conditioning. I'm golf performance specialist, and it goes on and on. But basically, we know our stuff, and we really move a lot into this area of helping people with these chronic pains and illness. All right, so let's move on. Exercise helps combat cancer. So there's lots of evidence suggesting exercise is an important component of cancer prevention, but it's also the same thing that's a big part of cancer care. So we know we can help prevent it, but we can also help significantly improve your chance of recuperation, and also if you get on top of it, make sure that it doesn't come back, because that'll be the worst thing. All right, so the choice of exercise is very, very important. So using the right exercise to complement the treatment is, I can't overstate this enough. So in this workshop, we explained exactly what that is, and it'll be a big part of the program, and we'll teach you how to do it. So the allopathic versus holistic approach, most health programs are just treating symptoms. So for the true health, you must look for the underlying cause of your problem. And the underlying causes, cancer is a man-made disease. Make no mistake about that. It really is caused from, poor choice smoking, excessive sun exposure, very much poor food. Sugar is like, it really is the cause of it. So, stress, we all know stress causes problems. So lack of exercise, lack of activity, all these things are the reasons that these things develop. So if they're the reasons they develop, that means that if you can find a way to get on top of each one of them, then you're going to significantly improve your chances of recovery. And if you haven't got it, then you significantly improve your chances of never getting it. So the multiple angle approach gives the body every chance to heal itself. All right, so the body is basically a system of systems. Each one's relying on the other to maintain health. And, they go into a bit more detail, but if I break it down into the key four ones, the musculoskeletal system being your bones and muscles, then you've got your hormonal system, that's the things that run, insulin's a hormone, adrenaline, cortisol, the stress hormones, you've got your testosterone, estrogen. These hormones are all running on a system, and they've all got to be well balanced. If one's out of balance, then it disrupts the whole team. Your visceral system there, like your internal organs, kidneys, liver, your heart even. So, all of those things are a different system from muscles and from hormones. And then you've got your limbic emotional system, which is your thoughts, your mind. So, and that's a very important one because that can override all the other three. All right, so we basically find that there's four key factors to rebuilding these systems in the body when it's sick or diseased. And the four essential bricks are exercise, and more specifically strength training. So we'll get more into detail in that in a minute. Number two is nutrition. Elimination of sugar is essential. Plus, eating a good variety of vegetables and getting good quality protein and so forth. Stress can sabotage the whole entire program if it's neglected or abused or just ignored. And lastly, sleep. Recovery is paramount to the healing process. So sleep, we could probably put in within that as well, like meditation and all different recovery strategies. All right, so they're the essential four bricks, and these four pillars or bricks will make up the bulk of our program. So part of the program is education, and then very much it's like they're teaching you how to do each of these four bricks really, really well and doing them all the time. So you don't do exercise not 80% and skip the other three. You've got to have all four of them working for you to get the best outcome. Why most programs fail is because they ignore these four factors. They don't look for the cause. They use fitness methods instead of health methods, which should be the other way around. A cookie cutter program. So a cookie cutter program is a one-size-fits-all. Now, I've never met two people exactly the same, and even with cancer, there's all different types of cancer, and there's different reasons you got the cancer. You have different stresses in your life right now. You might be looking after grandkids. You might not even have any kids. You might still be working. It's completely different things. So it's impossible to have the same program. So, and another reason why programs fail is they don't have any accurate method for determining your current level of stress. So how do they know where to start if they don't even know how much they're dealing with? All right, so in our assessment, we'll have, like some physical assessments and tests to see how you move with your body and all those sort of things. But in terms of the lifestyle choices and nutrition and basically determining the level of stress in your body, we'll use several tests, and this is one of them. A very simple one, basically just a questionnaire process where we can identify, your body's the food that you're currently eating, the quality of it, how much stress you have in your life right now from thoughts and stuff, and I'll explain what these numbers and that mean in a second. How well you sleep, the timing of food, do you skip meals, do you eat breakfast, all those sort of things. How well do you digest your food, and are you susceptible to fungus or parasite infection? So basically you'll get a score from your answers, and if you're in the red, as you can see, this stress one here is quite high. When you eat is getting into that area, and the fungus and parasites is there as well. So if you're in this area, it sort of highlights the fact that we need to work on that. We need to bring those scores down to bring your body's chances of healing itself into the green. The green, like a traffic light, means good. All right, so or you can go, you can do stuff. All right. So we need to have a strategy for this particular person on helping them handle their stress, maybe improving a bit of the quality of their food, making sure they're getting at the right timing, and then helping them work through this area. This last one is really an end result of everything that's done poorly here. All right, so this is the stuff that puts you in the ground. So you really need to be on top of all the other things. The one at the top's the most important, and you work your way through. All right, so this is one way that we determine how much load's on your body at the moment. Another reason programs fail is there's no method for teaching essential skills in life. So, things like balance, agility, coordination, these are things that are lost. And usually the person with cancer, diabetes has lost a significant amount of muscle. And these skills have been lost like almost a lot faster than their muscle mass. So things like in their quality of life is diminished because they feel like there's a real fear of falling and just can't do things anymore. So the exercise program, if it doesn't have that something to teach that or get it back, it's really an unsuccessful program. But probably the biggest factor that most programs fail is they're oblivious to the most important exercise component in preventing disease in the first place using the exercise method, and that's adding muscle. So strength training is the particular exercise that can cut cancer by 40%. Just adding muscle is such a powerful thing, as much as it makes us look good and it helps our bones, all that sort of stuff. It's a very big regulator of hormones, in particular insulin, and there's a problem with the insulin, which we'll see, as the reason why people are developing these problems. So people with stronger muscles, from weight training, 40% less likely to die to, a lot of the research. Here's a really good study that was found, and I like this study in particular because it stands the test of time. So it has a lot of people in it, so it's a lot more accurate. So 8,500 people over 2 decades were tracked and had their medical checkups included the tests of their muscular strength. The men who had regularly worked out with weights had the highest muscle strength, were between 30 to 40% less likely to lose their life to a deadly tumour. Here's a picture of one of our clients who's 78-year-old, Laurie, and he does 2 strength sessions a week, and this barbell here, he's currently lifting 60 kilos, and he does that with ease, all right, plus chin-ups and all sorts of things, so he's 78, and yet he moves better than some 58-year-olds I see, all right, so strength training's massive. So how does it work? How does doing strength training help to lower your cancer risk? Well, basically it lowers your risk because it drives your insulin levels down. So controlling insulin levels is the most powerful way to reduce your cancer, but also prevent you from getting things like diabetes, because they're very linked to each other. So apoptosis is a program. Cell death is triggered by exercise causing cancer cells to die. So the more muscle you have, the more you regulate the insulin, and insulin, like you can see here, it's like the keys. It's the hormone that gives the keys to get into the cell. And when there's a disruption with this hormone, the keys don't fit in the cell anymore, or they can't get through, and that's when all the problems start to arise. So muscle plays a pivotal role in controlling these hormones, in particular this insulin one. All right, so imbalanced hormones due to muscle loss or excessive fat create high levels of estrogen. So we know testosterone is linked with males, which is linked with improved muscle mass. So you think of sprinters, people cheating in the Olympics with drugs and that, they're trying to improve their testosterone to improve their muscle mass. So if the opposite of testosterone is estrogen, that creates, instead of more muscle, more fat, which creates more imbalanced hormones, problems with blood sugars, all sorts of stuff, right? All of this stuff feeds cancerous cells. So the more muscle you have, it can prevent all this stuff from happening. And if you have it already happening and you add muscle, you're going to sort of lessen the effect that it has. All right, so it controls your metabolism, blood glucose levels, triglyceride profiles, so cholesterol and all those things come into it as well. So now you can see why it's so important for us to add muscle. In addition to that, physical activity improves circulation, so it drives more oxygen to your tissues, circulates the immune cells in your blood, improving your blood flow to your liver. It helps your body detoxify the potentially harmful substances. And we know, and even in your treatment, like there's some toxic stuff getting pumped into you to try and kill the things. If you have your own body system helping it to manage that process, you've got a better chance in your treatment of being more successful. So the excess estrogen, by the way, is very much linked to the breast cancer. So the estrogen sensitive cancers like breast cancer will feed on the excessive estrogen floating around. Now, coming back to what I touched on earlier, like health, not fitness, unfortunately, many of the public health guidelines still focus so much on the aerobic component. So, things like running, cycling, walking, and to be honest, when you've got cancer, you probably don't want to go running or anything anyway, but excessive walking and doing lots of low-level intensity things won't add muscle to you. Like, and we've just determined you need to add muscle. Well, you won't add muscle from walking. I'll tell you that now. That'll maintain your current standard, but it won't improve it because it doesn't have enough resistance to it. All right, so all this fitness training stuff, as much as it sounds great, it's fitness. It's not health. All right, and too much of this will actually give you cancer too. So we don't really want to use a lot of this. If you get really good healthy down the track and get in remission, then maybe you might be able to add to it. But at this point in time, you don't need a lot of that type of training. All right, so is it safe to be exercise when being true? Well, they'll admit that rest is the best medicine. It's not true, and it's probably the worst thing you can do. In fact, exercise is so critical to the treatment, and Prasad in our workshop explaining a bit more detail about that. But when he first comes to see me, he said, Nick, look, when people are diagnosed, the shock to them, and as you would expect, and I can relate with that as well. The very first thing they think of is that I need to rest and recover and look after myself. But the cancer loves you to do nothing. That's sort of how it starts. It thrives on you doing nothing. So you have to, as much as you don't want to, and you don't have the energy, or feeling like you want to just sit on the couch and watch TV, that is going to exacerbate your problems. And Prasad, the reason he came to us is because he wanted his treatment to have a better success rate, and we needed to get people to understand the benefits of moving. All right, so just always remember, cancer loves you being quiet, so don't be quiet. Get around and move. All right, so summary of the potential benefits of exercise during and or following your treatment. Well, the things that can preserve and improve are muscle mass, strength and power, your cardiorespiratory fitness. Even from strength training, you will definitely improve because the intensity of the exercises make the blood flow quickly. Physical function, you know, so basically moving around in life is going to be improved significantly. Activity levels, you'll have a bit more energy, become more flexible and mobile. Your immune function will improve, body image and self-esteem and mood. Now, this is a big one too, so you can't underestimate the power of this. So, because your mind can really control a lot of things in good ways and bad ways. So, it's giving you every chance to do it well. So these are things that can go up, and these are the things that we can reduce. So the number of symptoms and side effects reported from your treatment, such as nausea, fatigue, and pain, will be reduced from doing this type of exercise. The intensity of the symptoms would be lessened. The duration of hospitalisation, psychological and emotional stress is reduced. Depression and anxiety is reduced. So you can see just from doing, and the key thing here is, I'm going to state to you, you don't need to be training every day. Like 2 times in a week would be a good week. In addition to walking and getting around, making sure you're not sitting for too long a period of time and constantly moving around. But the actual key exercise twice a week would be enough. All right, so you don't have to do a lot, it just has to be good. All right, so other reasons we need strength training. Strength training declines 30% on average from age 50 to 70. So just the aging process sets us up for some of these problems. So more dramatic losses are after age 80, but there's a large degree of variability between people. So, and I'm going to show you in a minute like what I mean, and I sort of touched on it earlier with one of our clients, Laurie. Cancer treatment, it can also speed up some of the muscle loss. That's just the side effects of some of the stuff. So you can see now, if you've already got the aging process, you haven't been doing anything for a long time, so it's like there's 2 hits to your system of muscle loss. Now you've got some cancer treatment, there's another loss. All right, so staying active and trying to prevent this is extremely important. This is where we touch on things like sarcopenia. This is a picture of 3 different legs, all people the same age. This leg here is a person who's been active, been probably keeping a lot of strength training throughout their life, and you can see the muscle mass is quite significant. Person of the same age, been sort of moderately active, at times probably does not enough, probably done more cardio training than strength training, lost a significant amount of muscle mass to this person. This person's probably a little bit limited in some of the things that they can do. Can get around, probably feels all right, but they're a shadow of this person. This last person is close to disability, sort of walking upstairs, very, very difficult, close to walking frame, may already have one. fear of falling is a real big problem for this type of person. Now, these are real pictures of people the same age. I believe they were about 68 years of age, or around about. So you can get an idea, and we see this all the time. Like, and it's amazing just how different people can be. In addition to that, bone density. So muscle loss, as we know with the diabetes and the hormones and all that, and physical function is bad, but it also affects the bone density. So things like arthritis and things like that now become an issue as well. So bone mass peaks at around age 25, but there's significant losses after age 50. Women 3 times more likely to develop osteoporosis, mainly due to the fact that you just don't have enough testosterone if you're a female. So you're already sort of you're a weaker muscle mass structure than a male already. So if I was to sort of classify who needs strength training the most, it would be older females. All right, because they're most likely to lose the most amount and be set up for all these problems. Having said that, 20% of the cases of osteoporosis are actually men. So there's a lot of men out there due to inactivity, and the estrogen and testosterone thing has changed and hence sets them up for problems. All right, so 50% of these people with bone density problems are set up to have a hip fracture because, like I said, their fear of falling is quite significant. Now, if they do have a fall and fracture their hip, 50% of them never fully regain their mobility and independence, and 50% of those die within the first year. So pretty scary stats. As the bones lose the density, they become weaker, and the risk of fracture during regular movements increases. So hip fractures are the #1 cause of nursing home admission. And the good news is it can be prevented from doing strength training. And I've seen people like the lady in this picture here come to us looking like that, eventually not needing the walking stick and walking up the stairs unassisted. Right, so it can be done even at a later time in life. All right, falling 31% of unintentional deaths in 1999, and the most common cause of non-fatal injuries in hospital admissions for trauma. So this is what we call the use it or lose it theory. So if you don't use it, you lose it. So loss of muscle equals slow neural activity. The slowing of the neural activity, which is basically your brain and your nervous system talking to the muscles to say do this, do that. The slower response time means there's a slower movement from the muscles. So this slower time difference can mean the difference between a life-threatening injury or a, gee, that was close. An example would be, say, getting on a bus and the bus driver goes to take off and you're not sitting down and you're standing up. The person with good neural conduction speed will sort of stumble but regain their feet and not fall over. The person who has lost that will not be able to react quickly enough and fall back and probably split their head open or fracture their hip. All right, and we see this all the time. So falling over from that is not luck. That is a skill that is lost or preserved. All right, and it can be brought back. It just takes a bit of work, and you have to be consistent with your exercise. Okay, so then moving along. Oops, go a bit. Okay, so what can you do about this? So exercise. So choice of exercise is crucial. So traditional strength training is proven to be ineffective, even create more problems. Cardio training, we've already spoken about, is worse. Walking is not enough to promote muscle growth. You must adopt a functional strength training technique. So if I touch back on here, traditional strength training, most people, when they think of strength training, think of Arnold Schwarzenegger sitting on the bench press or some sort of machine. All these machine stuff, this is the worst stuff you can do. That doesn't make you improve your balance or the skills that you need for life. You don't ever sit down to do things like that. It's just stupid. It's a bodybuilding mentality that's corrupted the exercise world, and unfortunately it's corrupted the rehabilitation world as well, and who should know better than that. All right, so you must adopt functional strength training techniques to improve your brain's ability to move. All right, without doing that, it's a waste of time. All right, so human body only knows movement, it doesn't know muscles. So when we aren't training muscles, we're training the neuromuscular skeletal system, the brain. So goal is to get your body systems to work in highly coordinated and effective fashion so that the everyday functional tasks are done more easily. So example would be walking upstairs. So you must have an exercise that looks very similar and requires the same skills, strength, muscles, and similar pattern of movement to improve the skill of walking upstairs. Sitting on a machine might do that. So how does this relate to cancer? Well, the functional strength training cancers have also a strong emphasis on using the entire body. So as a result of using the entire body, we end up using hundreds of muscles all at once. So within the space of, say, 30 seconds of doing a particular exercise, or a minute or so, we have just activated 150 to 200 muscles all in one go. So all of these guys are going to improve their strength and their timing and metabolic function within that 1 minute. So we become more time efficient, more or less. It helps us to move better, but it also helps us to get all the other effects that we're looking for, controlling insulin and blood glucose and all that sort of stuff. All right, so bigger bang for a buck, more or less. So what is a functional strength training movement? Well, the picture I showed you before of Laurie, this is what we call a bending over, or in the gym world we call it a deadlift. All right, so this is a very similar movement to what you would do if you were gardening, trying to pull a weed out of the garden. This is what we call good technique. This is what we would refer to as bad technique. This is how you would get like a real bad back problem. Not improving the strength in your legs is improving the strength in his legs. Now the legs hold all the biggest muscles in the body, so if we work the leg muscles a lot, we get a bigger net return on our time and change things quite significantly. All right, so it's just massive amount. I could go on and on and on about the benefits of doing the way Laurie's doing it versus the way the lady on the right is. So my question is it safe for older? The question I'm always asked is it safe for older adults to lift weights? Well, my question is it safe for adults not to lift weights? Because in my opinion, and what I've seen, and what Prasad would say the same thing, is that from not doing it, you're actually a higher risk to yourself. All right, so you must start now. The program or the exercise choices must be providing continual challenges in order to adapt and grow. This is where sitting on machines, there is no challenge. There is at first. After a couple of weeks, you're already used to it. So the body will only adapt to the level of challenge it's provided. So, and it is a real myth that older adults should be lift light dumbbells or resistance bands because they will get injured. We've proven this 1,000 times over that is just so wrong. They need to be doing so much more than that. It just needs to be done the right way and shown correctly so the risk is removed, which is why we create this class. So this is what we refer to as progressive overload. So the positive effects of exercise are the largest for the tasks that are more complex and require brain activity. The more coordinated and complex they are, the greater effect on the brain, the greater effect on the changes that we want to looking for. Hence, that's why we're going to show you complex things. Having said there will be simple things and stepping stone approach to learning it, but basically our end goal is to try and get all these bit more complicated movements that look like life. Active aging. This is a good graph that you can look at. It shows you the aging curve. So people of the same age, person on the blue line sort of maintaining, good level of function, doing lots of strength training and, especially things that are functional movements, and maintains their independence and prevents disability right up to their old age. The same person of the same age who does nothing all their life falls under this disability threshold. And so this guy could be 78, he's 78, he's in a wheelchair, hardly do anything, got all sorts of problems. This guy's running around, playing golf and sailing on yachts, and that's exactly what Laurie does. All right, so and that gives you an example of the difference. All right, so the only thing that's different between the two is that Laurie maintained his muscle mass for a long period of time. Moving on. Okay, so what is active aging? Active aging is where a person can enjoy their active lifestyle right up to their late 90s, free of fear of pain and restriction. Older adults not merely the sum of their chronic disease, and they shouldn't be treated as such. So exercise is rendered, as we've mentioned many times, a preventative measure and also as a management for injury or disease. So our Lift for Life program is basically a small group training for chronic diseases and injury, more specifically cancer, basically for us like linking with Prasad, but not limited to. All right, so the other diseases and injury even are very relevant to the same program. There's some examples. You can go to our YouTube channel and you'll find there's lots of different programs and specific exercises that you can see from us doing that we currently do in our other older adults class called Stronger for Longer. And you'll see here's a picture of like where we teach people how to pick things up and placing little balls on witches' hats and trying to do it correctly and not do it like that. So when is the class? Well, it starts on Tuesday at 11:30 a.m. First class is the 15th of March, 2016. The class is 60 minutes long and be held at our studio in Mitcham on Unit 10, 18 to 20 Redland Drive, Mitcham. classes are $20 each, and we get people to pay for 8 sessions in advance to really reinforce your commitment. The class will run ongoing for an entire year, if not longer. Hopefully we keep this class going, maybe even might grow into another class. So if you can't attend the Tuesday class for some reason, you can always attend our Thursday class at 10 a.m. with the Stronger for Longer. Like I said, it's very, very similar, and very, very similar problems. And if you wanted to attend both, you could as well. All right, so but yeah, at this stage we will start off with Tuesday at 11:30, and very much like a workshop based, where there's a bit of education as much as movement, and as time goes on, it becomes more and more movement as you understand the reasons and the ways of doing things behind it. All right, so I hope you've enjoyed that video, and if there's any more you'd like to know, please get in touch with me, and I'll get in touch with you, and we can work out a time to help you out. All right, thanks again, and I'll see you on the next video.